Hello. Tonight we journey together into a vast, forgotten world where time seems to slow down and every breath turns into a soft mist under a quiet sky. Have you ever wondered how human spirits thrived in places so cold that even silence feels heavy, long before modern maps drew their lines across the wilderness? Imagine stepping away from the endless notifications, the humming appliances, and the busy traffic of your daily routine into an ancient forest that stretches beyond the horizon. Here, high in the northern expanse, the Siberian taiga rests under a blanket of eternal frost, holding secrets buried deep within the earth for tens of thousands of years. It feels a bit like trying to find your misplaced car keys in a snowy driveway, except this frozen landscape has kept its treasures perfectly preserved without ever misplacing a single piece. So, before you get completely comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy what we're creating here. If you like, feel free to drop a quick note in the comments sharing where you are tuning in from tonight and what time it happens to be in your corner of the world. Now, slowly dim the lights. Perhaps turn on a fan, letting the steady hum of the air fill the room, and in that gentle rhythm, we quietly step into tonight's journey together. You stand at the edge of an ancient forest where the Arctic winds whisper low through the needles of giant larch and cedar trees. Beneath your feet lies the permafrost, a massive layer of soil and ice that has remained frozen for thousands of years, anchoring the earth in a perpetual stillness. This underlying ice acts as a silent vault, protecting ancient plant roots and prehistoric remains like a natural subterranean refrigerator that never needs a software update or a power outlet. As you look out across the endless landscape, the boreal forest gives way to the vast, open stretches of the tundra. Here, under the heavy mantle of winter snow, the ground appears completely motionless. Yet, beneath this peaceful surface lies a delicate ecosystem resting through the long polar darkness. The snow cushions every sound, turning the wide northern expanse into an auditorium of pure, restful quiet where even the softest breeze feels like a slow, deep breath. In the heart of this frozen wilderness, near the Lena River Basin, the ancient Yakut people discovered a remarkable marvel of nature known as bulus. Bulus is a natural phenomenon where underground thermal springs break through the thick permafrost, allowing liquid water to flow freely, even when ambient temperatures plummet far below freezing. Finding fresh, running water in the middle of a sub-zero desert felt like discovering a 24-hour hot beverage station in the middle of a snowstorm. Scientists and geologists studying the Siberian landscape believe these unfrozen springs became vital lifelines for early humans and wildlife alike. Their constant flow of fresh water created small refuges of life, attracting animals and supporting seasonal camps. Gentle bubbling echoed across the frozen wilderness, filling the icy air with a calm, rhythmic sound that endured through every harsh winter. Soft snowflakes begin to drift down from the pale gray sky, falling with an effortless grace onto the branches of ancient pines. Each crystal settles quietly upon the next, building layers of fresh powder that blanket the rocks and frozen streams in a seamless, pillowy white. The atmosphere is so calm that you can almost hear the faint touch of snow landing on snow, a delicate sound that invites your mind to settle into a deep sense of peace. Long before borders were drawn and empires claimed ownership over the horizon, this land belonged entirely to the rhythm of the seasons. Nature moved in slow, predictable cycles, completely unhurried by human ambition or the passing of centuries. Observing this timeless landscape reminds us that the world has a way of taking care of itself, moving forward with an unshakable, tranquil patience that puts all our small, daily worries at ease. As the dusk deepens into a rich navy blue, the vast landscape resembles a classic ink wash painting, where simple lines and muted tones create a sense of boundless space. The contrast between the dark green forest and the glowing white snow creates a visual harmony that eases the eyes and relaxes the mind. You can feel the quiet weight of the northern evening settling gently over the terrain, inviting every living creature to rest. The early inhabitants of these northern lands learned to read the subtle signals of the earth, understanding that survival was not a contest against nature, but a quiet partnership. They observed how the wild larch trees shed their needles to conserve moisture, and how the Arctic foxes changed their coats to blend into the drifting banks. It was a lifestyle built entirely on paying attention to small, graceful details rather than rushing toward distant goals. Looking out over the expanse, you realize that the frozen wilderness was never truly empty or hostile. It was simply waiting, holding its breath under a canopy of stars. The quiet strength of the terrain offers a comforting sense of permanence, showing us that true endurance is quiet, steady, and remarkably peaceful. The earth remains solid beneath you, supported by ancient layers that have weathered countless winters without ever losing their serene composure. As the night sky clears, brilliant constellations emerge one by one, shining like distant silver lanterns against the deep black void above the taiga. The starlight reflects softly off the snowy ground, illuminating the contours of the rolling hills with a gentle, milky glow. There are no city lights here to obscure the view, only the pure, unfiltered brightness of a cosmos that has watched over this wilderness for eons. In this quiet moment, the air feels crisp and pure, washing over your thoughts and clearing away the mental clutter accumulated throughout the day. Every element of the landscape, from the deep roots locked in permafrost to the highest stars in the sky, works together to create an environment of absolute calm. You are merely an observer here, safely wrapped in the tranquility of a world that moves at its own unhurried pace. The soft rustle of the wind through the high canopy sounds like a gentle lullaby, carrying away the last remnants of tension from your shoulders. The ancient land settles into the deep winter night, inviting you to let go of control and simply float along with the quiet flow of time. As the forest sleeps beneath its white blanket, you feel safe, grounded, and ready to surrender peacefully to the quiet darkness embracing the frozen northern wilderness. You step further into the quiet heart of the northern forest, where the air is still and clean, carrying the faint, crisp scent of pine resin and cold mountain air. The vast Siberian sky above stretches out like an ocean of pale silk, pale blue by day and shifting softly into shades of violet and deep indigo as twilight approaches. Walking through these silent woods feels a bit like entering a grand natural cathedral, though without any of the choir practice or the obligation to sit upright in an uncomfortable wooden pew. In the quiet shelter of towering larch and fragrant cedar forests, the nomadic Evenki people built their traditional conical homes, known as the chum. They carefully selected long, straight wooden poles from nearby woodlands, arranging them into a sturdy frame that could withstand fierce northern winds. Over this framework, they stretched thick, flexible reindeer hides, fastening them tightly to create a durable shelter. Ingeniously designed, the entire dwelling could be assembled or dismantled within only a few hours. This remarkable portability perfectly matched the Evenki way of life. As skilled hunters and reindeer herders, they frequently traveled across the immense Siberian wilderness, following seasonal migrations and changing weather. Carrying a heavy permanent home would have been impossible, but the lightweight components of the chum allowed families to move with surprising efficiency. Despite its simple appearance, the shelter offered exceptional protection, keeping out icy winds while retaining precious warmth during the harshest months of the Arctic winter. Inside the chum, a small central hearth burned steadily throughout the day and night, becoming the warm heart of family life. Thick reindeer hides trapped heat with remarkable efficiency, while remaining breathable enough to prevent excessive moisture from building inside. Soft, golden firelight flickered gently across the curved leather walls, creating a calm, inviting atmosphere that contrasted beautifully with the frozen landscape beyond. The quiet crackling of burning birch logs blended with the whisper of distant winds, producing a soothing rhythm that encouraged deep relaxation and peaceful rest after long journeys through the snow-covered wilderness. Outside, the Evenki elders sat quietly near the entrance of their shelters, listening intently to the subtle voices of the winter night. They could interpret the soft rustling of dry snow drifting over the frozen crust, understanding what the changing wind meant for the coming morning's trek. Their deep familiarity with the sounds of the forest allowed them to navigate the wilderness with an unhurried confidence, treating the frozen landscape not as a threat, but as a familiar, well-loved home. As night fully settles over the forest, the stars begin to appear in numbers unimaginable to those living under modern city lights. The Evenki mapped the northern sky with great precision, using the slow movement of major constellations to track the passage of seasons and guide their evening movements. They viewed the night sky as an endless, illuminated parchment, reading the cosmic patterns above with the same ease that someone today might check a smartphone map, minus the sudden pop-up ads. Archaeological excavations at the famous Malta site near the shores of Lake Baikal have uncovered remarkable evidence of human life dating back more than 24,000 years to the Paleolithic era. Beneath layers of frozen earth, researchers discovered ancient tools, hearths, ornaments, and carefully crafted objects that reveal a thriving community. These extraordinary findings show that people adapted successfully to one of Earth's coldest environments while preserving creativity, tradition, and daily survival across countless generations. Among the most remarkable discoveries were delicate figurines skillfully carved from mammoth ivory and soft stone, depicting graceful Arctic birds, human figures, and symbolic forms. Smoothed and polished by patient hands, these tiny masterpieces reveal that prehistoric people valued beauty alongside survival. Even during the longest, harshest winters, they devoted precious time to artistic expression, suggesting that creativity, storytelling, and spiritual reflection brought warmth, comfort, hope, and lasting peace into their everyday lives. These tiny ivory sculptures were often carried as personal talismans or worn as pendants, serving as quiet reminders of connection, protection, and spiritual balance. Holding a smooth piece of carved ivory offered a tactile comfort, helping ancient individuals ground their thoughts during long, quiet winter evenings inside their shelters. The survival of these delicate objects through thousands of years of frozen history speaks to the enduring human desire for comfort, art, and tranquil reflection. Inside the chum, the fire burns down to a bed of glowing red embers, releasing a steady but gentle heat that radiates evenly across the fur-lined floor. The atmosphere inside is safe and enclosed, creating a cozy sanctuary while the vast, cold wilderness stretches endlessly outside. Families rested together wrapped in thick fur blankets, their steady, synchronized breathing creating a tranquil rhythm that matched the quiet pulse of the forest. The Evenki embraced a quiet philosophy that valued conserving both physical energy and inner peace. They believed every word carried weight, so conversations were spoken softly, with patience and intention rather than haste. Loud voices were thought to disturb not only other people, but also the harmony of the surrounding forest, where every sound had its place. By living in gentle rhythm with nature instead of resisting it, they cultivated calm minds, steady emotions, and an unhurried way of life that welcomed deep rest after each demanding day. As you lie comfortably inside the warm conical lodge, your eyes drift toward the small opening at its peak, where thin ribbons of smoke slowly disappear into the silent night sky. Beyond that circular window, countless silver stars shimmer brilliantly across the endless darkness, their steady light untouched by the frozen world below. The comforting warmth surrounding you contrasts gently with the crisp northern air outside, creating a profound sense of safety, belonging, and quiet wonder beneath the timeless heavens. Every sound across the winter landscape seems designed to calm the mind and soothe the senses. Snow settles softly upon the heavy branches of ancient pines while the quiet night wind whispers gently through the frozen forest. Here, time no longer feels urgent. Minutes and hours slowly blend together into one peaceful, unbroken flow of stillness. The constant pressure of modern life quietly melts away, replaced by the slow, steady rhythm of the timeless Siberian taiga, where silence, nature, and deep tranquility invite complete relaxation and restorative sleep. As you rest peacefully here, you can feel your muscles fully relax and your breath becomes slow, deep, and effortless. The stories of the ancient northern tribes remind us that peace is not found in controlling our surroundings, but in gently adapting to them with patience and grace. Wrapped in the soft warmth of the winter night, you surrender completely to the quiet stillness, ready to drift away into a deep and restorative sleep. Across the vast, snow-covered expanses of the northern tundra, the seasonal migration of reindeer draws long, graceful paths over the frozen ground. For centuries, these gentle herds moved in a continuous, quiet rhythm, following the silent internal compass that guided them toward fresh moss and sheltered valleys. Watching thousands of reindeer move across the white horizon feels like observing a slow-moving silver river, flowing smoothly without any of the sudden traffic jams or impatient horn honking of modern highways. The Ninets people, the indigenous nomads of the Yamal Peninsula, organized every aspect of life around the seasonal migration of their vast reindeer herds. Year after year, families traveled hundreds of miles across the Arctic tundra, carrying only what they truly needed. Their journeys followed ancient routes remembered through generations, guided by changing seasons, frozen rivers, and the quiet instincts of experienced herders. Rather than resisting the rhythm of nature, they accepted it completely, allowing the land itself to determine the pace of every remarkable journey. Walking beside their reindeer, the Ninets never hurried. Their calm, measured steps matched the steady movement of the herd, creating a peaceful rhythm that continued from dawn until evening. Every pause served a purpose, allowing animals to graze beneath the snow or rest before continuing onward. Deep respect for the fragile tundra shaped every decision they made. They crossed delicate carpets of lichen with extraordinary care, protecting the slow-growing vegetation that would continue nourishing future herds for generations to come. Far to the east, the Chukchi people developed an equally remarkable relationship with the frozen landscape. Years of close observation taught them to understand the Arctic through sounds, textures, and subtle changes invisible to unfamiliar travelers. Their language contains dozens of precise words describing different kinds of snow, distinguishing each by its moisture, density, crystal structure, and even the unique sound it produced beneath a boot. Every frozen surface carried valuable information for those patient enough to listen carefully. Experienced Chukchi hunters could often judge the safety of a path simply by hearing the crisp crunch beneath their feet. A soft, hollow sound warned of hidden air pockets beneath the snow, while a sharper, denser crack suggested stable ground capable of supporting both people and sleds. This remarkable sensitivity came not from extraordinary talent, but from generations of careful observation, passed from elders to children. Like musicians recognizing familiar melodies, they learned to trust the quiet language spoken by the frozen earth itself. Daily life among these northern reindeer herders unfolded with a calm, effortless rhythm that rarely needed words. At sunrise, leather harnesses were loosened, sleds carefully prepared, and young calves gently guided through fresh snowdrifts with practiced movements refined over countless seasons. Loud commands were unnecessary because people and animals understood one another through subtle gestures, familiar routines, and quiet patience. The entire landscape seemed to breathe in harmony, creating an atmosphere where every ordinary task became peaceful, graceful, and deeply connected to nature. Anthropological studies of nomadic pastoralism in Siberia highlight the remarkable efficiency of the traditional reindeer sled, known locally as the nardi. Constructed entirely without metal nails or rigid joints, the wooden frames were bound together using flexible leather thongs that allowed the sled to bend and absorb the rough contours of frozen terrain. This flexible design prevented structural breaks and provided a remarkably smooth ride over uneven ice, proving that ancient engineering often solved complex problems with elegant simplicity long before shock absorbers were invented. The reindeer themselves are masterfully adapted to the extreme cold, possessing specialized hooves that change shape with the seasons. In the winter, the outer edges of their hooves harden and shrink, exposing a sharp rim that cuts into ice like natural crampons to prevent slipping. Additionally, their dense coats feature hollow hair shafts that trap air, creating a lightweight layer of thermal insulation so effective that snow falling on their backs doesn't even melt from body heat. As the reindeer herd pauses quietly to graze peacefully, the animals use their sharp hooves to scoop away the top layer of snow, reaching the prized reindeer lichen buried underneath. The soft, rhythmic scraping sound of hundreds of hooves working through the powdery snow creates a gentle, soothing white noise that fills the quiet landscape. It is a comforting sound of quiet sustenance, echoing the quiet resilience of life, flourishing peacefully within the Earth's most remote, tranquil, and timeless frozen wilderness. The migration routes were never random. They followed ancient paths handed down through oral tradition and memorized through descriptive songs. These mental maps cataloged every landmark, from unusually shaped boulders to subtle ridges in the terrain, guiding families safely across hundreds of miles of featureless white. Traveling this way transformed navigation into a peaceful story where every hill and frozen river was a familiar character in an ongoing family narrative. During the short daylight hours of winter, the sun remains low on the horizon, casting long, soft shadows and shades of lavender and pale rose across the snowdrifts. The gentle light reflects softly off the icy landscape, creating a calm, dreamlike atmosphere that eases eye strain and relaxes the mind. Time seems to stretch out lazily under this quiet glow, inviting a sense of spaciousness where there is no need to hurry or keep track of passing minutes. When evening settles across the frozen tundra, the reindeer instinctively gather shoulder to shoulder, sharing warmth as gentle clouds of breath drift upward into the clear, star-filled sky. Nearby, the Nenets carefully raise their winter camp, arranging sturdy reindeer sleds in a broad protective circle that shields the tents from the cold evening wind. Resting so close to the quiet herd brings a lasting sense of comfort, reflecting a bond of trust between humans and animals strengthened across countless Arctic generations. As you quietly reflect on the peaceful rhythm of these Arctic nomads, the constant noise and endless demands of modern life begin to soften and slowly fade into the distance. Their way of living reminds you that true resilience grows not from rushing ahead, but from moving patiently with nature's steady rhythm. You realize there is no need to control every outcome or chase every milestone, because lasting peace often begins with calm, gentle, and unwavering steps forward each day. The deep stillness of the northern night settles gently over the resting herd, wrapping the entire camp in a soft blanket of peaceful silence. Above, countless distant stars shimmer with cool, unwavering light, watching over the frozen tundra as it sleeps between endless Arctic seasons. Surrounded by the timeless calm of the snow-covered wilderness, your breathing slows, your body relaxes completely, your thoughts grow quiet, and you drift effortlessly into a deep, dreamless sleep, embraced by perfect serenity, gentle warmth, and lasting inner peace. In the deep hush of the northern forest, survival was never achieved through conflict, but through an unspoken agreement to walk softly upon the earth. The indigenous tribes of North Asia practiced an unwritten law of quiet coexistence, sharing hunting grounds and communal food caches without dispute. If a traveling family came across an unoccupied shelter in the forest, they were free to rest and use the stored firewood, provided they replenished the supply before leaving. A prehistoric system of Airbnb hospitality based entirely on mutual trust and zero administrative cleaning fees. During the brief yet radiant summer season, when thick river ice finally loosened its grip, life returned gracefully to the sparkling waters of the Lena River. Families gathered along the quiet banks, preparing elegant canoes crafted from flexible birch bark stretched over carefully shaped wooden frames. Every seam was sealed with fragrant pine resin to keep the vessels perfectly watertight. These lightweight canoes glided almost silently across the glass-like river, carrying travelers beneath endless northern skies glowing softly beneath the golden light of the midnight sun. Traveling by river became one of the most peaceful parts of life during the northern summer. The smooth current carried the canoes gently between dense forests of larch, cedar, and pine, where birdsong echoed through the cool morning air and dragonflies hovered above quiet coves. Fish occasionally disturbed the reflective surface with gentle ripples before disappearing once more beneath the crystal-clear water. Every journey unfolded at nature's unhurried rhythm, allowing families to gather food, visit neighboring camps, and appreciate the extraordinary beauty surrounding them each day. Archaeological excavations around the shores of Lake Baikal have uncovered remarkable clothing dating back thousands of years, revealing extraordinary craftsmanship among ancient northern communities. Skilled artisans carefully stitched multiple layers of treated animal hides and luxurious furs, using slender needles carved from delicate bird bones and strong thread twisted from dried animal sinew. These remarkably precise seams trapped insulating pockets of warm air, protecting people from temperatures below -40 degrees and creating natural cold weather garments that rival many modern outdoor clothing designs. The secret to this Arctic clothing lay in the intentional air gap left between the inner and outer layers, which allowed moisture from sweat to evaporate before it could freeze against the skin. Wearing these soft, lightweight garments felt like carrying a private, weightless envelope of summer warmth wherever one walked. By mastering the art of staying warm without adding heavy bulk, the native inhabitants could move through the snow with effortless grace, conserving precious physical energy throughout the long winter months. Living in harmony with such an unforgiving climate required a deep psychological acceptance of nature's boundaries and rhythms. The tribes held a core belief that taking more than what was immediately necessary from the forest would disrupt the delicate balance of the wilderness. This philosophy cultivated a serene mindset free from greed or anxiety about the future, allowing individuals to live fully in the quiet reality of the present moment. In the forest camps, daily chores were performed with a calm, meditative focus that turned simple tasks into comforting rituals. Women gathered dried lichen and birch bark for fire starter, their hands moving with swift, practiced precision, while men carefully inspected leather hunting harnesses by the fire. Every action was intentional and smooth, eliminating unnecessary exertion and keeping the mind grounded in a tranquil state of easy concentration. As evening descended, the forest shifted into a realm of deep blues and velvety shadows, wrapped in a silence so profound you could hear the soft falling of a pine cone. The inhabitants of the camp sat around the hearth, sharing stories in low, melodic voices that mimicked the gentle rustle of leaves in a summer breeze. These tales spoke of respect for the forest spirits and the quiet wisdom of the animals, instilling a sense of safety and belonging in every listener. Scientists studying traditional ecological knowledge increasingly recognized that these northern traditions represented far more than folklore or simple survival skills. Refined through countless generations of careful observation, they formed a remarkably effective system of environmental stewardship. Families rotated seasonal hunting grounds, protected nesting areas, and avoided disturbing young animals during vulnerable months. These respectful customs allowed wildlife populations to recover naturally, preserving healthy ecosystems year after year while keeping the wilderness abundant, balanced, resilient, and peacefully alive for generations to come. The snow-covered forest created its own remarkable sanctuary of silence through nature's quiet design. Thick blankets of fresh snow resting upon towering pines and ancient spruces absorbed echoes that would otherwise travel across the frozen landscape. Every footstep sounded softer, every distant noise faded almost instantly, leaving behind a gentle stillness embracing the entire camp. Resting within this peaceful natural soundscape felt like entering a hidden refuge where tired minds relaxed, anxious thoughts dissolved, and weary spirits found lasting comfort. As you reflect upon this ancient way of living, the quiet wisdom preserved across countless generations begins settling gently within your thoughts. The tension held inside your shoulders slowly melts away, while your breathing becomes calmer and more even with every passing moment. These northern communities understood that lasting peace rarely comes through constant struggle. Instead, it quietly appears whenever people accept nature's rhythms, moving beside life with patience, instead of endlessly resisting its gentle and timeless current. At the center of the peaceful camp, a modest fire burns with quiet steadiness, sending soft ribbons of golden light across the snow-covered ground. Nearby trees stand silently around the clearing like faithful guardians, their frost-covered branches sparkling beneath moonlight and countless stars. Above stretches an endless northern sky that has watched over these lands for thousands of years. Beneath its vast embrace, the earth feels welcoming, protective, timeless, and filled with a comforting sense of quiet security and belonging. Your breathing gradually deepens until it matches the slow, gentle rhythm of the peaceful forest surrounding you. Every calm inhale carries the crisp fragrance of pine, cedar, and clean winter air, while each unhurried exhale releases another trace of lingering worry and tension. The quiet wisdom preserved within this ancient wilderness wraps around you like a warm wool blanket. Protected by the stillness of the northern night, your body grows lighter, calmer, completely relaxed, and wonderfully at peace. Nothing asks for your attention now except the quiet beauty of this frozen wilderness and the soothing rhythm of your own breath. Every remaining worry fades like faint footprints slowly disappearing beneath fresh snowfall. Surrounded by ancient forests, glowing embers, peaceful silence, and endless stars, you feel deeply connected to a world shaped by patience and harmony. With complete trust in this tranquil moment, your mind becomes perfectly still, allowing deep, restorative sleep to arrive naturally, gently, and effortlessly. The mighty Yenisei River stretches for thousands of miles across the heart of Siberia, carrying cold, crystal-clear waters from the mountains of Central Asia toward the frozen Arctic Ocean. Long before written history reached these northern lands, the river served as one of the region's greatest natural lifelines. Flowing through endless taiga forests, broad valleys, and rugged cliffs, it connected distant communities, nourished countless species of wildlife, and quietly shaped human life with its dependable rhythm through every changing season. Archaeologists believe people have lived along the Yenisei Basin for many thousands of years, leaving behind stone tools, fishing implements, hearths, and ancient campsites that reveal a remarkable story of adaptation. The river supplied fresh water, fish, and reliable travel routes, while surrounding forests provided timber, medicinal plants, berries, and game throughout the seasons. Generation after generation carefully observed the river's changing currents, learning exactly when salmon returned, when ice became safe, and where wildlife gathered most abundantly every year. Along the quiet banks of the Yenisei and its winding tributaries, the Selkup and Ket peoples established seasonal settlements that shifted naturally with the changing landscape. During the brief northern summer, families gathered beside gravel beaches as melting ice released clear, flowing currents rich with fish. Children collected wild blueberries, cranberries, and cloudberries growing among moss-covered ground, while skilled fishermen repaired woven nets and carved wooden boats. Every activity followed familiar traditions passed carefully from elders to younger generations across countless centuries. The peaceful rhythm of daily life unfolded beside the gentle voice of the river itself. Water softly touched weathered wooden boats and smooth stones along the shoreline, while cool breezes carried the fresh scent of pine, cedar, and damp earth through the forest. Birds called from towering trees as sunlight shimmered across the flowing surface like scattered silver. Sitting quietly beside the Yenisei, surrounded by this timeless landscape, it became wonderfully easy to forget every hurried thought and simply breathe with nature's calm, enduring rhythm. As the years passed, small shifts in regional populations and animal grazing patterns led to gradual, peaceful adjustments of territorial boundaries among the tribes. Rather than competing over resources, neighboring groups adjusted their seasonal routes with remarkable diplomacy, sharing fishing spots and trading territories without conflict. These territorial shifts occurred as smoothly as a pair of old friends switching seats at a quiet coffee shop, guided by an intuitive respect for each other's needs and well-being. The Selkup people developed extensive river trading networks that extended southward, connecting remote northern forests with distant trading posts along the steppe margin. Utilizing light, hand-carved wooden canoes and sturdy river rafts, they transported valuable pelts, fine furs, and walrus ivory to trade for essential goods like salt, iron tools, and decorative glass beads. These peaceful exchanges were as much about maintaining warm social bonds as they were about commerce, weaving distant communities together into a soft web of mutual support. Archaeological findings along the Yenisei Basin have unearthed beautifully preserved iron fish hooks, bronze ornaments, and carved stone weights used for sinking fishing nets into deep river currents. These artifacts demonstrate that early river dwellers possessed a remarkably sophisticated understanding of aquatic engineering and seasonal fish migrations. Their ability to design lightweight, highly functional tools allowed them to harvest rich resources from the water with minimal effort, leaving plenty of time for rest and social connection. Hydrological studies of Siberian rivers reveal that these massive waterways act as natural heat regulators for the surrounding northern climate, carrying warmer temperatures from southern latitudes deep into the cold northern interior. During the height of summer, the river corridor creates a pleasant microclimate where lush grasses, wild herbs, and berry bushes flourish in abundance. The mild air along the water offered a welcoming respite from the harsher conditions of the open tundra, inviting both humans and wildlife to gather and recharge. Life beside the river flowed with a peaceful, steady rhythm, gently calming every soul. During the quiet afternoon hours, experienced fishermen gathered beside the water to repair their woven nets, patiently tying each knot with practiced, effortless movements refined through countless seasons. They spoke in low, unhurried voices, sharing simple stories while watching the slow current drift past. The peaceful blend of steady handwork, flowing water, and warm companionship created a tranquil atmosphere where worries gradually faded, leaving the mind clear, balanced, and deeply relaxed. As autumn approached, the river began its slow, breathtaking transformation, preparing to put the landscape to bed for the long winter ahead. Bright green larch trees turned into brilliant columns of spun gold, casting vibrant reflections across the dark, glassy surface of the moving water. The crisp autumn air carried the pleasant scent of damp earth, fallen leaves, and cold mountain water, signaling that it was time to gather wood and settle into cozy winter quarters. As winter arrived, thin sheets of clear ice began to form along the shallow edges of the river, growing steadily inward until the entire surface was sealed beneath a solid, milky plate. Beneath this thick armor of ice, the deep waters of the Yenisei continued to flow silently toward the ocean, completely undisturbed by the freezing winds blowing above. This quiet, unseen movement below the ice serves as a comforting reminder that peace can exist deep within us, even when the world outside seems cold and still. The quiet resilience of the river communities reveals a timeless truth about human life. Real strength grows through patience, adaptability, and trust in nature's steady rhythms. Along the Yenisei, generations of Selkup and Ket families followed seasonal cycles instead of resisting them, gathering fish, berries, and game only when the land freely provided. Their calm way of living transformed even harsh northern winters into manageable seasons, proving harmony often offered greater security than restless ambition, constant struggle, or fear. As night settles across the frozen Yenisei, an immense silence gently blankets the valley beneath countless bright northern stars. Snow-covered riverbanks shimmer with a faint silver glow, while ancient pine forests stand motionless against the crisp horizon. Beneath the thick ice, the unseen current continues its patient journey toward the Arctic Ocean, just as it has for thousands of years. Standing beside the quiet shoreline, you sense the Earth's enduring strength, peaceful, steady, timeless, comforting, and wonderfully reassuring beneath you. Your thoughts gradually drift with the hidden current flowing beneath the frozen river, releasing every lingering worry, expectation, and unfinished plan. The quiet presence of the great northern landscape surrounds your mind like a gentle embrace, dissolving the last traces of tension collected throughout the day. Each slow breath becomes deeper and calmer, matching the timeless rhythm of the wilderness, until you close your eyes and surrender completely to peaceful, restorative, uninterrupted sleep beneath endless northern stars. As the centuries unfolded, subtle shifts in global climate patterns brought about the era known as the Little Ice Age, gently reshaping the vast northern wilderness. Across Siberia, temperatures dropped slightly, causing winter snows to linger a few weeks longer into the spring and pushing the polar tree lines southward. For the nomadic tribes, this environmental shift was not experienced as a dramatic catastrophe, but as a quiet invitation to adjust their seasonal migration routes, much like casually selecting a slightly warmer sweater when an unexpected evening breeze rolls through. As climatic conditions gradually shifted across northern Asia after the last ice age, several reindeer herding communities slowly adjusted their seasonal migrations instead of remaining tied to familiar routes. Archaeologists and paleoclimatologists believe many groups gradually settled near the fertile Amur River Valley, where warmer southern air currents supported dense mixed forests unlike the open tundra farther north. Pine, birch, oak, and larch flourished together, creating abundant grazing for wild herds while providing reliable supplies of timber, berries, fresh water, medicinal plants, and shelter throughout every changing season. The Amur River Valley became an important cultural crossroads, linking Siberia, Manchuria, and the Pacific coast for thousands of years. Rather than competing constantly for territory, neighboring hunting and fishing communities often developed peaceful traditions that respected seasonal migration routes and shared natural resources. Archaeological excavations have uncovered ancient camps, stone tools, pottery fragments, and hearths showing repeated occupation across many centuries. These discoveries suggest flexibility, careful environmental observation, mutual respect, and cooperation frequently proved more valuable for survival than stubbornly preserving outdated customs during climatic change. During these peaceful seasonal movements, anthropologists documented a remarkable custom known as silent trade, sometimes called dumb barter, practiced among several northern tribes. One community carefully arranged valuable goods, including cured furs, dried fish, carved antler tools, polished bone needles, or birch bark containers, upon a large flat stone before quietly withdrawing into the surrounding forest. The visiting group later inspected the offerings and left salt, copper ornaments, medicinal herbs, or other prized supplies considered equal in value, completing respectful exchanges without spoken negotiation, conflict, or misunderstanding. This silent system of trade operated with remarkable honesty and mutual respect, entirely free from conflict, language barriers, or aggressive bargaining. If the first party felt the offer was fair, they took the goods and departed. If not, they simply stepped back and waited silently for a small addition to be made to the pile. The entire process unfolded in the tranquil hush of the forest, governed by an invisible code of honor that reinforced peaceful relationships between distinct cultural groups without ever generating stress or friction. Historical climate records reconstructed from ancient Siberian tree rings reveal that environmental changes usually unfolded gradually across many decades, rather than through sudden catastrophic events. Each annual growth ring preserved subtle evidence of warmer summers, colder winters, changing rainfall, and shifting growing conditions. These slow transformations gave human communities enough time to adapt their hunting routes, seasonal camps, and daily routines without overwhelming disruption. Like the forests themselves, people responded through patience instead of panic, trusting that every harsh winter would eventually give way to another season of gentle renewal. Within the sheltered Amur River Valley, migrating communities encountered an extraordinary diversity of edible plants and medicinal herbs that greatly expanded their traditional knowledge of natural healing. Experienced healers carefully collected wild ginseng roots, bright rosehips, fragrant pine needles, and nutrient-rich chaga mushrooms growing upon ancient birch trunks. These valuable ingredients were slowly brewed into warming herbal infusions believed to strengthen immunity, restore energy, and ease winter illnesses. Their remarkable botanical knowledge supported healthy, balanced lives while deepening respect for the generous forests surrounding every seasonal settlement. Changing winter landscapes also encouraged remarkable innovations in northern transportation, inspiring craftsmen to perfect broad wooden skis lined with carefully prepared animal fur. Carved from flexible birch and shaped to glide across deep powder, each ski carried narrow strips of reindeer or horse leg pelts fixed beneath the base with the hair facing backward. This ingenious design allowed effortless forward movement while gripping securely during uphill climbs. Travelers crossed frozen valleys almost silently, conserving precious energy and transforming difficult winter journeys into calm, graceful passages through snow-covered wilderness. Gliding through the quiet winter forest on broad fur-lined skis felt almost effortless, as each smooth stride carried travelers gently across untouched snow. The only sound was the soft shh of animal pelts brushing the frozen surface, blending naturally with the silence of the woods. Hunters and messengers could cross remarkable distances without exhausting themselves, conserving precious energy for the long northern winter. The steady, rhythmic motion gradually quieted restless thoughts, becoming a peaceful meditation that filled the heart with lasting calm and inner balance. In the temporary winter camps scattered along sheltered river valleys, evening unfolded with gentle familiarity and comforting warmth. Families gathered inside sturdy wooden-framed shelters where a small central fire glowed softly, filling the air with the scent of burning birch. Children listened quietly as elders shared stories about kind river spirits, ancient forests, and wise old trees protecting the valley through every season. These treasured tales reminded each generation that embracing nature's steady cycles would always lead them safely home through changing times. As you reflect on the quiet journeys and graceful adaptations of these northern communities, an important truth slowly becomes clear. Much of life's exhaustion comes not from change itself, but from resisting what cannot be controlled. The people of the frozen wilderness accepted each new season with patience, flexibility, and trust. Their history quietly teaches that lasting stability grows through gentle adaptation rather than stubborn resistance, allowing every challenge to become another peaceful step along life's unfolding path. Outside, the northern sky gradually fades into peaceful twilight, painting the snowy valley with delicate shades of lavender, pale blue, shimmering silver, and soft rose beneath the quiet evening light. The Amur River winds silently between ancient mountain ridges, while frost-covered pines stand motionless beneath the cool evening light. Every drifting snowflake, quiet stream, and towering tree seems to breathe with calm assurance. The landscape gently invites you to release every burden, knowing that the earth continues its timeless rhythm with perfect patience and quiet strength. A deep feeling of tranquility gradually settles over your thoughts, gently dissolving every lingering trace of tension gathered throughout the day. Your breathing slows into a calm, steady rhythm, naturally matching the peaceful stillness that fills the sleeping northern forest. Around you, the silent wilderness rests beneath countless brilliant stars, wrapped in timeless balance and quiet security. Feeling completely protected, supported, and comforted by the ancient landscape, you gently close your eyes and surrender to the soothing darkness, allowing every remaining worry to fade away as peaceful, dreamless sleep embraces you completely. Faced with the long, dark winters of the far north, the indigenous tribes developed a profound life philosophy centered around gentle endurance and mental quietude. They understood that attempting to force one's will against an Arctic blizzard was as futile as trying to argue with a thundercloud, choosing instead to yield gracefully to the elements. When extreme cold swept across the tundra, families gathered inside their shelters, slowing down their movements and conserving their energy with an inner calm that turned potential hardship into a season of restful reflection. In the lower reaches of the Taz River, the legendary wooden outpost of Mangazea emerged in 1600 as a vital Arctic trade hub. Founded near the Arctic Circle, this Pomor settlement was constructed from thick larch timber beams using traditional northern carpentry. Mangazea functioned as a peaceful meeting point where local Nenets nomads and Siberian merchants gathered to exchange sable furs, walrus ivory, and crafted metal goods. It stood like a warm beacon amidst the frozen tundra, offering travelers cozy shelter, hot tea, and quiet rest during long winter journeys across Siberia. To preserve food without electricity, indigenous Arctic tribes engineered remarkable natural underground storage systems known as merzlotniks. Digging deep into the permanent layer of permafrost beneath their homes, they constructed subterranean chambers where ambient temperatures remained perpetually below freezing year-round. These ice cellars kept salmon, reindeer meat, and wild berries perfectly preserved for months. Russian polar expeditions later documented how these traditional structures provided native families with a completely reliable food supply throughout the harshest winter seasons, effectively eliminating any underlying anxiety or stress regarding potential seasonal food scarcity. Archaeological digs at the Mangazea historical site reveal advanced native understanding of thermal insulation and natural ventilation systems. Early builders lined cellars with thick tree bark and woven straw to regulate interior humidity and prevent structural collapses. Descending into a historic merzlotnik felt like entering a tranquil, crystal-lined cave where delicate frost flowers bloomed across dark earthen walls, preserving summer harvests in suspended animation. This clever use of permafrost refrigeration offered indigenous communities immense peace of mind, knowing their essential nutrition remained safely secured regardless of violent storms above ground. Historical records from 17th century fur trade routes confirm that Mangazea's success relied heavily on native adaptation techniques. Local traders combined traditional indigenous ice cellar storage with Scandinavian Tivian timber techniques, creating a resilient economic oasis along the Taz River. Although the outpost eventually fell silent after maritime routes were restricted in 1619, the cultural legacy of these Arctic storage innovations endured for centuries across northern Asia. Today, these ancient permafrost cellars stand as profound historical evidence of human ingenuity, showing how peaceful adaptation and technical mastery allowed early societies to thrive within the frozen wilderness. The daily routine during the coldest weeks of winter focused on quiet, indoor activities that relaxed the body and comforted the mind. Women softened animal hides by working them smoothly with round bone scrapers, their hands moving in slow, rhythmic strokes that required patience rather than strength. Men carved intricate spoons, combs, and needle cases from reindeer antlers, focusing their attention entirely on the smooth texture of the horn as it yielded to the sharp edge of a small knife. This gentle dedication to craftsmanship became a natural practice of mindfulness, encouraging every artisan to remain fully present with each careful movement of the hands. As wood, bone, leather, and woven fibers slowly took shape, distracting thoughts quietly faded into the background. There were no pressing deadlines, urgent messages, or crowded schedules demanding attention, only the quiet fulfillment of creating practical, beautiful objects from nature's gifts. Inside the warm timber shelters, the comforting sense of dried cedar, sweet meadow grass, herbal tea, and glowing coals filled the peaceful air. To pass the long northern evenings, many tribal families gathered inside their warm wooden shelters to practice traditional throat singing and quiet vocal chants inspired by the sounds of the surrounding wilderness. Their voices echoed the whisper of winter winds, the gentle murmur of flowing rivers, and the distant calls of wild animals across the frozen landscape. These rich, low harmonic tones filled the shelter with soothing vibrations, calming the nervous system, easing physical tension, and wrapping every listener in a comforting atmosphere of profound peace and quiet relaxation. Social interactions within the community were guided by a quiet commitment to patience, kindness, and emotional balance, values considered essential for surviving long northern winters together. Displays of anger or loud arguments were discouraged because they disturbed the peaceful atmosphere shared by every family. When disagreements appeared, elders encouraged calm conversation, thoughtful listening, and time for emotions to settle naturally. This gentle approach preserved trust, strengthened relationships, reduced daily stress, and kept every shelter filled with warmth, harmony, reassurance, and lasting mutual respect. As the long winter weeks quietly passed, the sun slowly lifted a little higher above the distant horizon, spreading pale amber light across the snowy forests and frozen rivers each afternoon. Icicles hanging from wooden roofs began dripping softly during the warmest hours, while birds cautiously returned with gentle songs announcing the changing season. Families welcomed these subtle signs with quiet gratitude, understanding that patient endurance and steady hope had carried them safely through another demanding northern winter, together once again. The history of these northern settlements and carefully built underground ice cellars reminds us that genuine resilience rarely depends upon force or constant struggle. Instead, lasting strength often grows through patience, flexibility, thoughtful preparation, and calm acceptance of nature's changing rhythms. By conserving energy during difficult seasons and trusting that every hardship eventually passes, people discovered a quiet confidence that sustained both body and spirit. Every long winter slowly yielded to spring, just as every challenge eventually opened the way toward renewal and peace. Beyond the shelter, the silent forest rested peacefully beneath a fresh blanket of sparkling snow, while the crisp northern air carried only the faint whisper of distant wind through towering pines. A slender ribbon of smoke drifted upward from the wooden chimney, slowly dissolving into the wide twilight sky painted with soft shades of silver and blue. Gazing across this tranquil landscape, you feel deeply protected, knowing the steady rhythm of the wilderness has quietly embraced generations before you with enduring comfort and care. Your thoughts become lighter with every slow, steady breath, releasing the final traces of worry gathered throughout the busy day. The peaceful stillness of the frozen wilderness surrounds your mind like a warm blanket, gently calming every restless feeling and inviting complete relaxation. Resting safely within this cozy shelter, accompanied by the quiet crackling of the fire and the endless silence beyond the walls, you surrender completely to the night, drifting into deep, uninterrupted, wonderfully restorative sleep with lasting peace. As maritime trade routes gradually expanded across the northern Pacific over many centuries, contact between traditional Arctic communities and visiting coastal traders developed slowly rather than through sudden disruption. Along the rugged shores of the Bering Sea and the northeastern coast of Siberia, the Koryak people encountered merchants carrying iron tools, woven fabrics, metal ornaments, and other valuable goods. Historical records from Russian expeditions of the 18th century describe these exchanges as generally peaceful, allowing new materials to complement long-established customs without weakening the cultural foundations carefully preserved through generations. Long before outside trade became common, the Koryak were already highly skilled artisans, transforming whalebone, walrus ivory, antler, and driftwood into practical tools and expressive ceremonial objects. Archaeologists have uncovered finely carved pendants, needle cases, hunting charms, and decorated household items from ancient coastal settlements across Kamchatka and Chukotka. After iron blades became available through expanding trade networks, craftsmen achieved even greater precision while preserving the flowing lines, natural textures, and symbolic animal motifs that reflected their enduring spiritual relationship with the northern seas and surrounding wilderness. Museum collections and archaeological discoveries from 19th century trading settlements around the Bering Strait preserve remarkable examples of this cultural blending. Researchers have documented carved ivory knife handles fitted with imported iron blades, traditional fur garments decorated with colorful glass trade beads, and bone sewing tools shaped using both indigenous techniques and metal implements introduced through commerce. These carefully crafted objects demonstrate that innovation often strengthened existing traditions instead of replacing them, allowing communities to expand their artistic vocabulary while honoring ancestral knowledge passed faithfully across countless generations. Historians and anthropologists frequently point to these discoveries as evidence that cultural exchange need not become a story of conflict or loss. When relationships developed through patience, respect, and practical cooperation, different traditions naturally enriched one another while preserving their distinctive identities. The polished surfaces of carved ivory, the balanced patterns of embroidered leather, and the thoughtful combination of local and imported materials quietly express this enduring lesson. Like calm rivers joining without turbulence, human cultures can grow stronger together while remaining deeply rooted in their own heritage. Deep within the summer tundra, native grandmothers and herbalists continued their timeless practice of gathering wild plants, passing down centuries of botanical knowledge through soft, melodic lullabies sung to children by the fire. They taught the young ones how to identify wild chamomile for soothing restless minds, willow bark for easing physical discomfort, and aromatic Labrador tea leaves for brewing comforting hot drinks on chilly evenings. These gentle songs served as living libraries, carrying vital survival wisdom across generations on the soft wings of melody and affection. Ethnographic research into native Siberian medicine reveals that these traditional plant remedies were remarkably effective, offering gentle, natural support for physical health and mental well-being. The act of gathering herbs along sunny riverbanks was itself a therapeutic ritual, encouraging mindful movement, deep breathing of crisp, fragrant air, and a quiet connection with the living earth. The herbal knowledge preserved by northern women provided families with a sense of gentle self-reliance, ensuring that health and comfort were always within reach. When modern administrative boundaries and fixed trading posts began to appear across the landscape, the indigenous tribes adapted with their signature quiet resilience, finding clever ways to maintain their nomadic heritage within a changing world. They established permanent winter villages made of sturdy cedar logs, while continuing to head out into the vast tundra with their reindeer herds during the spring and summer seasons. This balanced lifestyle allowed them to enjoy the security of permanent homes while preserving the freedom and spatial openness that their spirits required. In these newly established wooden settlements, daily life unfolded at an unhurried, comforting pace that balanced the warmth of close community with the peaceful silence of the surrounding wilderness. Families worked together to raise sturdy log houses, gather firewood, repair fishing gear, and store dried fish, grains, and berries before winter arrived. Neighbors willingly shared tools, meals, and practical knowledge, while quiet laughter accompanied their steady labor. These simple acts of cooperation strengthened trust, created lasting friendships, and filled the villages with a reassuring sense of belonging and mutual care. As the years gently passed and the uncertainties of cultural change gradually faded, the northern communities revealed an extraordinary ability to heal, adapt, and preserve their traditions without clinging to the past. Memories of earlier generations were honored with gratitude rather than sorrow, serving as a steady foundation for daily life instead of a source of regret. By accepting change with patience and meeting each new season with open hearts, they maintained emotional balance, quiet confidence, enduring resilience, and a peaceful spirit through every challenge together. This timeless ability to carry ancient traditions gracefully into changing times offers a meaningful lesson for our own fast-moving modern lives. We do not need to resist every new circumstance or fear the steady passage of time. Instead, we can preserve the values that nourish our hearts, release what no longer serves us, and gently weave fresh experiences into our unfolding story. Like skilled weavers joining old and new threads, we shape lives enriched by wisdom, quiet resilience, gentle adaptability, enduring purpose, inner peace, and hopeful hearts for every season. As gentle twilight settled across the peaceful coastal village, a warm golden glow shone through the windows of sturdy wooden homes, reflecting softly across snow-covered paths and frozen streams. Beyond the shoreline, slow ocean waves rolled quietly against icy rocks, creating a calm, rhythmic melody that echoed through the still evening air. The crisp breeze carried the refreshing scent of sea salt, weathered driftwood, and dried pine needles, while the entire landscape rested in serene silence, inviting every traveler to pause, breathe deeply, and completely unwind. Above the quiet village, the immense northern sky stretched endlessly like dark velvet scattered with brilliant stars that had guided sailors, hunters, and coastal families across countless generations. Their steady light reminded every observer that while human history constantly changed, the deeper rhythms of nature remained calm and dependable. Standing beneath this magnificent sky, surrounded by peaceful forests and the gentle sound of distant waves, you felt completely protected, comforted, and connected to an enduring legacy of resilience, kindness, harmony, and quiet hope. Your thoughts gradually became lighter and softer, drifting effortlessly with the slow rhythm of the cool evening breeze flowing across the peaceful coastline. Every breath settled deeper into calmness, and every muscle released the final traces of tension gathered throughout the day. Wrapped in the quiet spirit of this ancient northern shore, surrounded by timeless stillness and gentle warmth, you surrendered completely to the comforting embrace of the night, drifting peacefully into deep, uninterrupted, wonderfully restorative sleep, filled with lasting serenity and complete relaxation. High above the silent expanses of the northern taiga, the sky transforms into a vast, luminous canvas as the northern lights begin their slow, enchanting dance. Ribbons of emerald green, soft violet, and shimmering silver sway gently across the starry dome, floating in complete and absolute silence. Watching these celestial curtains drift across the cosmos feels a bit like watching a high-definition screensaver set to the lowest possible brightness, designed specifically to lull a weary world into a state of blissful, dreamlike tranquility. Beneath the shimmering curtains of the aurora borealis, small northern settlements rested quietly among towering pine and cedar forests blanketed in deep snow. Homes built from fragrant cedar logs nestled naturally within the landscape, their sturdy walls shielding families from the bitter Arctic cold. Thin streams of pale wood smoke drifted gently upward from stone chimneys into the clear night sky, disappearing among the glowing lights overhead. The rich scent of cedar resin, burning birch, and crisp winter air filled every peaceful moment with timeless warmth and quiet comfort. Archaeological excavations across Siberia have uncovered the remains of carefully constructed log dwellings dating back many centuries, revealing how northern communities skillfully adapted local forests into warm, durable homes. Preserved wooden foundations, stone hearths, carved household tools, and food storage pits demonstrate remarkable craftsmanship and thoughtful planning for long winters. The choice of cedar and larch provided natural resistance to moisture, insects, and freezing temperatures, allowing villages to endure through countless seasons while blending harmoniously with the surrounding wilderness and maintaining remarkable environmental sustainability. Modern anthropological and sociological research shows that the enduring strength of indigenous Siberian societies rested less on material wealth than on deep social cooperation. Food, hunting duties, childcare, and practical knowledge were shared throughout the community, strengthening trust and mutual responsibility. Elders carefully passed survival skills and oral traditions to younger generations, while every family contributed according to its abilities. This strong communal spirit fostered resilience, emotional security, and lasting unity across centuries of environmental change. Many indigenous peoples regarded the aurora borealis not as a frightening mystery, but as a beautiful expression of harmony between the heavens and the earth. Ethnographic records describe traditions in which the dancing lights were seen as the joyful spirits of ancestors watching lovingly over the living. Wrapped in warm furs beside glowing fires, children listened quietly as elders shared stories beneath the luminous sky. Gazing upward together inspired gratitude, humility, and wonder, strengthening their connection to nature, family, history, and the vast universe surrounding them. Modern physics explains that the glowing ribbons of the aurora borealis appear when charged particles carried by the solar wind collide with oxygen and nitrogen high in Earth's upper atmosphere, guided by the planet's magnetic field toward the polar regions. These remarkable interactions occur far above the surface, often more than 100 kilometers overhead, producing delicate waves of green, violet, and crimson light. Although science beautifully reveals the mechanism behind this phenomenon, witnessing the silent display in person still inspires a deep sense of awe that no equation can fully capture. Standing beneath the vast northern sky, scientific understanding and quiet wonder seem to exist together in perfect harmony. The shimmering curtains of light drift slowly from horizon to horizon, expanding, folding, and dissolving with graceful, almost dreamlike movements. Their gentle, pulsing rhythm encourages the eyes to relax and the mind to grow still, while the immense silence surrounding the landscape deepens every breath. Watching the aurora becomes less an act of observation than a peaceful meditation, inviting every thought to settle into calm acceptance beneath the glowing heavens. Inside the cozy timber cabins, evening life unfolded with gentle warmth and reassuring familiarity as darkness settled across the snowy wilderness outside. A small iron kettle filled with wild berry tea quietly simmered above glowing coals, releasing delicate aromas of berries, herbs, and cedar into the room. Families rested together upon thick reindeer hides, mending clothing, carving small wooden tools, or simply enjoying one another's quiet company. Soft conversations blended naturally with comfortable silences, the crackling fire and the fragrant warmth, creating a peaceful atmosphere where body and mind could completely unwind. Outside, the snow-covered pine trees stand like quiet guardians against the glowing northern horizon, holding the peace of the valley in their gentle embrace. The atmospheric temperature outside remains crisp and cold, yet inside the cedar log homes, the air is thick with physical comfort and deep emotional security. Every single detail of this peaceful environment, from the silent skies above to the sturdy timber walls below, works together seamlessly to foster an ideal atmosphere of total, undisturbed rest for everyone resting inside this cozy winter sanctuary. As the northern lights gradually fade into a soft, pale green haze along the distant horizon, bright stars resume their steady, brilliant watch over the sleeping wilderness. The quiet return of this starlight signals that it is time for the entire ancient forest to sink into its deepest hours of night. The steady continuity of the night brings a profound sense of comfort, reassuring us that deep peace is always present whenever we choose to quiet our minds and release the noisy distractions that accumulate throughout our busy daily lives. The story of these northern communities teaches us that true harmony is not something we must construct through heavy effort, but something we naturally reclaim when we let go of unnecessary mental noise. By aligning ourselves with the simple, timeless rhythms of nature, we discover a steady internal anchor that keeps us grounded through every passing storm. Life becomes remarkably simple, clear, and profoundly restful when we remember to take slow, deep breaths and trust in the quiet, enduring beauty that surrounds us in this vast universe. The deep stillness of the taiga night wraps gently around you now, soft and weightless, pushing away every remaining thought from your long day. The cool air in your room feels fresh and soothing, carrying your mind away from all daily responsibilities into a quiet realm of absolute ease and physical relaxation. You are completely safe, protected, and deeply at peace, cradled comfortably within the warm, protective embrace of an ancient northern night that seems to stretch endlessly into the quiet darkness of a timeless eternity. Your breathing transforms into a slow, rhythmic ocean wave, rising and falling with effortless grace as your body sinks deeper into the soft mattress beneath you. Every last bit of tension melts away completely from your forehead, your heavy shoulders, and your relaxed hands, leaving behind a wonderful feeling of lightness and tranquil calm. Wrapped securely within the timeless tranquility of the northern starlight, you gently close your tired eyes and glide smoothly into a deep, dreamless, and wonderfully restorative sleep until the arrival of dawn. The ancient larch and pine forests of the Siberian wilderness stand as silent, evergreen sentinels that have observed the quiet passage of countless centuries. Deep in the heart of the taiga, some of these gnarled trees have rooted in the same soil for over 500 years. Their thick, rough bark, weathered by hundreds of freezing winters and soft, fleeting summers. Standing beneath their towering, snow-laden canopies feels a bit like entering a timeless library where every tree is an unwritten volume, completely unbothered by overdue fees or electronic return deadlines. With every passing winter, gentle snowfalls blanket the forest floor, laying down a fresh, pristine layer of white that softly erases every track, footprint, and path made during the year. This annual blanket of eternal snow acts as nature's great reset button, returning the wilderness to a state of pure, untouched simplicity, season after season. The quiet accumulation of snowflakes buries old fallen branches and smooths out the rough contours of the earth, turning the landscape into a soft, rolling sea of seamless white that rests in absolute stillness. Deep beneath these thick layers of ice and snow lie the ancient campsites of forgotten tribes, preserved within the Earth's natural geological strata for thousands of years. Archaeological research reveals that charcoal from ancient hearths, microscopic plant pollens, and organic tools gradually became part of the permanent soil layer, blending seamlessly into the planet's long memory. These subtle traces of human life show that generations of people passed through this wilderness, leaving no scars upon the land, choosing instead to let their physical presence dissolve gently back into the natural world. Geologists and paleoclimatologists studying the Siberian taiga describe its deep frozen soils and permafrost as extraordinary natural archives preserving evidence of Earth's environmental history across tens of thousands of years. Scientific drilling projects have uncovered layers containing ancient pollen, volcanic ash, trapped air bubbles, and plant remains, allowing researchers to reconstruct past climates with remarkable accuracy. These frozen records reveal shifting forests, changing temperatures, and distant volcanic eruptions, offering invaluable evidence of how northern landscapes gradually evolved through countless generations. Standing upon snow that conceals such an immense natural archive inspires a deep sense of humility and quiet wonder. Beneath every step lies a silent history stretching far beyond written civilization, patiently preserved by ice and frozen earth through ages of change. Against this vast timeline, the worries, deadlines, and hurried rhythms of everyday life seem wonderfully small. Human lives become gentle moments within an endless story, reminding us to slow down, breathe deeply, and appreciate the enduring calm of the natural world. As the late afternoon sun dips toward the sharp, dark ridge of distant mountains, a soft golden light filters through the pine needles, illuminating microscopic ice crystals floating in the crisp air. These tiny airborne ice crystals, known as diamond dust, catch the fading light and sparkle like floating silver dust, creating a magical, dreamlike atmosphere throughout the silent woods. The visual effect is utterly calming, guiding the eyes to follow the slow, weightless dance of light particles hanging motionless in the cold air. The tall trees sway ever so slightly in the high-altitude breeze, making a faint, rhythmic sighing sound that echoes softly across the snow-capped forest. This gentle whispering of the pines sounds like a slow, deep breath taken by the forest itself, a rhythmic sound that naturally relaxes the human nervous system. There are no sudden noises here, no sharp intrusions, only the continuous, soothing murmur of the wind passing through millions of soft pine needles. In this peaceful atmosphere, the concept of time loses its rigid structure, stretching out into a soft, unbroken continuum where past, present, and future merge into one tranquil experience. The forest does not count the hours or hurry toward the next season. It simply rests in the reality of the present moment, grounded in its own quiet existence. Allowing your mind to match this slow, natural tempo brings an immediate sense of relief, releasing all pressure to accomplish, produce, or hurry. The ancient peoples of the northern forests understood that lasting peace begins with remembering that human beings are never separate from the living world around them. The same wind that gently moves through towering pines also fills our lungs with every quiet breath. The same patient strength that allows ancient trees to withstand countless winters can also be found within the human spirit. Ethnographers studying these traditions note that this deep sense of belonging nurtured resilience, gratitude, and emotional balance, replacing loneliness with a comforting sense of belonging to nature. As evening slowly deepens into the velvet darkness of the northern night, the forest settles beneath an extraordinary blanket of silence, stretching beyond the distant horizon. Brilliant silver stars shine steadily above snow-covered pines, while deep layers of fresh snow absorb nearly every sound that might disturb the peaceful landscape. Only the faint whisper of a gentle breeze occasionally stirs the highest branches. Wrapped within this immense stillness, the wilderness becomes a natural sanctuary, inviting every restless thought to soften, every anxious feeling to fade, and every burden to be quietly released. The quiet endurance of the whispering pines offers a timeless reminder that beneath every passing storm there always exists a deeper layer of calm waiting patiently to be rediscovered. Peace does not require distant journeys, complicated rituals, or perfect circumstances before it can be experienced. It already lives within the quiet space between one slow breath and the next, as constant as falling snow and as dependable as the changing seasons. All we need is the willingness to pause, breathe gently, trust the present moment, and allow serenity to unfold naturally. Now, a profound feeling of peaceful relaxation spreads gently through your entire body, dissolving every lingering trace of mental tension gathered throughout the day. The cool, quiet spirit of the winter forest seems to fill the room, surrounding you with the comforting presence of ancient trees, fresh snow, and crisp northern air. Every corner of this peaceful sanctuary feels warm, secure, and welcoming despite the frozen wilderness beyond. You are completely safe, deeply grounded, gently supported, and quietly embraced by the timeless rhythm of the natural world. Your breathing gradually settles into a slow, even rhythm that mirrors the peaceful heartbeat of the sleeping forest beyond the window. With every gentle exhale, your muscles become softer, heavier, and completely free from the weight of the day. The whispering pines, the silent snow, and the endless northern sky seem to watch over your quiet rest with patient care. Guided by their timeless calm, you close your eyes, surrender completely to the stillness, and drift effortlessly into a deep, dreamless, wonderfully restorative sleep filled with lasting peace and comfort. The immense night sky stretches endlessly above the northern reaches of Asia, embracing the vast taiga, frozen tundra, and snow-covered mountains in a silent, timeless stillness. Near the roof of the world, the ordinary rhythm of hours and minutes seems to fade away, replaced by the slow passage of stars across the dark heavens. Ancient constellations that guided hunters, travelers, and nomadic families for countless generations continue their quiet journey overhead, shining with the same steady light that illuminated these northern landscapes thousands of years ago. Across the frozen wilderness, a profound calm settles over every mountain ridge, winding river valley, and endless forest of larch, spruce, and pine. The crisp winter air remains almost perfectly motionless, carrying neither the rustle of leaves nor the distant call of wildlife. Thick blankets of fresh snow soften every contour of the land, absorbing sound until the entire landscape seems wrapped in complete silence. Even the oldest trees and the deepest roots resting within the frozen earth appear peacefully suspended beneath the quiet embrace of the long northern night. Scientists studying Earth's polar regions describe the Arctic and subarctic landscapes as vital components of the planet's climate system. Extensive ice, frozen soils, and northern forests help regulate global temperatures, store enormous amounts of fresh water, and preserve vast reserves of organic carbon accumulated over thousands of years. Long-term observations from polar research stations continue to demonstrate the remarkable stability these environments have maintained through countless natural cycles. Their enduring presence reminds us that some of Earth's greatest strengths exist not through constant activity, but through quiet, patient balance. Standing beneath this immense northern sky, it becomes easy to feel the hurried concerns of everyday life gradually drifting into the distance. The silent forests, frozen rivers, and ancient stars invite the mind to slow its restless pace and simply exist within the present moment. Surrounded by such enduring stillness, you sense a comforting connection to something far greater than yourself. The peaceful rhythm of the northern wilderness gently reassures you that calm, stability, and quiet renewal have always been part of the natural world. Every historical story of tribal survival, every seasonal migration of the wild reindeer, every silent trade along riverbanks, and every warm fire inside a birch bark shelter has gently folded into the deep memory of this timeless land. The ancient tribes who walked these frozen paths left behind no grand monuments of heavy stone or noisy cities of iron, choosing instead to live so lightly that their daily presence blended seamlessly with the wilderness. Their enduring legacy is one of quiet harmony, leaving the great north pristine and peaceful. As you look out across this infinite starlit landscape in your mind, you can feel the quiet strength of the ancient earth supporting your body. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to accomplish, and no lingering worries you need to hold on to right now. Everything in this vast, quiet universe is functioning in perfect order, moving along at its own gentle, unhurried pace, inviting you to simply let go of all physical tension, breathe very slowly, and be completely at ease in this quiet space. The soft, silvery starlight reflects gently off the rolling, snowy plains, illuminating the gentle curves of the landscape with a pale, dreamlike glow. The night air remains remarkably pure, light and cool, filling every single breath with a deep sense of soothing freshness and mental calm. You are completely safe here, comfortably held in the quiet protection of an ancient world that has mastered the gentle art of peaceful rest through countless ages of history, guiding your thoughts toward a state of total, unbroken physical relaxation tonight. The faint, distant memory of ancient human campfires and traditional singing dissolves quietly into the vast silence of the night, leaving behind only the pure, soothing essence of the Arctic wilderness. The deep forest slumbers peacefully, the cold rivers rest silently beneath their thick plates of ice, and the wide night sky holds the sleeping earth in a warm, eternal gaze. Everything around you is completely quiet. Everything is perfectly still, dead, and every living creature in this vast landscape is settling into a state of total peace. Your thoughts begin to slow down naturally, drifting like soft snowflakes through the calm, starry atmosphere above the snow-draped canopy. There are no deadlines to meet, no urgent demands to answer, and no restlessly spinning thoughts to distract your mind from this soothing experience. The quiet presence of the wilderness wraps softly around your consciousness, gently shielding your heart from the noise of the outside world and creating a sanctuary of pure tranquility where you can sink deeply into an undisturbed, restorative mental state. Feel the comforting, heavy warmth of your bed wrapping around you, creating a safe, insulated space where your entire body can fully unwind. As you lie here in total comfort, the quiet tranquility of the northern wilderness settles deep into your spirit, smoothing away every remaining trace of physical fatigue from your forehead, your shoulders, and your limbs. Your breathing becomes an effortless, rhythmic wave that mirrors the quiet, steady pulse of the sleeping earth, carrying you gently toward the threshold of a dark and peaceful night. Sink down softly into the comforting darkness now, letting go of every lingering thought as the eternal north quietly watches over your dreams. The vast starlit sky cradles you in an atmosphere of absolute safety, guiding your mind away from all waking cares and into a state of deep, undisturbed slumber. Surrounded by the timeless stillness of the frozen wilderness, you yield completely to the gentle pull of the night, drifting smoothly away into an endless, dreamless, and profoundly restorative sleep that lasts until dawn. Now allow your breathing to become slow and gentle, like a quiet winter breeze drifting through the distant crowns of snow-covered pines. Feel the comforting warmth of your bed embracing your body, softly protecting you from every worry, lingering thought, and distraction. The peaceful spirit of the Great North settles gently within you, filling your mind and every muscle with profound calm, deep relaxation, quiet reassurance, and a lasting sense of complete inner peace. Your mind gradually settles into complete stillness, drifting effortlessly through the peaceful darkness of the northern night. Every remaining thought quietly fades away, leaving only deep, unbroken calm surrounding you. You feel completely safe, warmly protected, and gently supported, ready to surrender fully to the soothing embrace of peaceful, restorative, and wonderfully refreshing sleep. Sink gently into the soft darkness, drifting into peaceful sleep, releasing every lingering thought, death, while the eternal north quietly watches over your dreams, cradling you in deep, peaceful, uninterrupted rest. The script comes to a close. Thank you all for listening.